Hello everyone. In this edition of Writing Skill Videos, we'll be looking at writing process. So that means the steps toward creating an acceptable paper that you're happy with and proud of. Okay? So you can come up with your own personalized writing process, but there's certain things that work for most people that you should be aware of. Okay, so first of all, what is a writing process specifically? It's all those steps you take toward making your paper the best it can be. And it's great to get in the habit of developing a very positive, effective writing process. It can vary for the individual though, but some things, as I said before, work for most people. So try them out if you haven't tried them before. And it can be a cure to writer's block and procrastination because you have predictable steps that you need to go through, and you can get past that fear of just getting something down on the page. Okay, so this is a graphic representation of the writing process. So it would start at the top in the pre-writing phase, and then it would develop into drafting, and then into revision, and then editing and publication, which means either turning it in or posting your writing on a discussion board, whatever it happens to be. Okay, and you'll notice in the graphic there's lines, dotted lines in between each of the steps. So even though you can say it's cyclical, that you're going around this process, you can go back and forth into different steps at any time. So for example, even at the late editing stage, if you notice something or something occurs to you, you may want to go back even into pre-writing. If you're questioning something that you wrote down, you may want to brainstorm some more, for example. So you can go in and out of the process as well as following it through the step-by-step process. Okay? So it's kind of malleable in that sense. So here are some suggestions for each step of the writing process. First of all, understand your assignment. So being clear about your assignment, that's a very important step in pre-writing, okay? Rather than jumping into your assignment with something that interests you, make sure you understand what's expected for the assignment so everything you do will fit the assignment. Free writing is another great pre-writing activity. For that, you just sit down and you write. Okay, you set the timer maybe for 5 minutes and you write continuously without stopping. That's the key part. The idea is to get you past your blocks. So you're not necessarily going to use what you write down, but it's about getting past those blocks and just getting something down on the paper, and you'll be surprised what good ideas can end up appearing on the paper that you can use in your paper. Okay? So that one's really great for getting past writer's block or past that fear of the blank page. Also just listing out ideas on a page, maybe as bullet points or something like that, either handwritten or in a Word document, whatever you like, just to list out everything that occurs to you. Discussion with other people in the classroom as well, so you can talk your ideas out with other people. You can ask them what they're doing. You can ask them what they think of what you're planning to do, okay, or what you're thinking about. Also, things like Venn diagrams, those are the circles that intersect to show the relationships between things, which can be helpful, especially if you're doing any comparing and contrasting. That can be helpful. Mind mapping, that's also very helpful, and that's where you essentially write down all the tangents of your thinking. So you have your central idea, and then you have all the branches off that central idea. Just look up mind mapping for some examples of what that can look like. Okay? It's very helpful for seeing interrelationships between things and also expanding out your ideas as far as you can. Also, research. So you may or may not have a research paper that you're writing. Of course, if you are writing a research paper, you have to do lots of research, but sometimes even if it's not a research paper, it's helpful to go read about your topic in some way. But just remember, you have to give citations for anything that you use from outside sources, okay? Also, you can look for some sample papers in the same style of writing that you're doing. If you're writing a narrative, for example, you can go find a narrative to see what people do with narratives, okay? And also outlining. You can do anything from a very rough outline where you're just writing down the basic major points in your paper to a very detailed outline in a classic kind of structure. So you can get as fancy as you want with that, but some sort of outlining is usually a good thing. Okay, so give that a try. For the drafting, this is the time to hone your thesis. So your main point needs to be refined at this point, and you need to create an engaging introduction of some sort. So something that leads into your thesis and introduces your overall topic. And you will determine the topic sentences for your paragraphs, at least close to what you'll have in your final paper. And you'll start to develop the details. You will start to bring in the research and the ideas that you have, the analysis that you're developing in your paper, okay? And then finally you'll craft some sort of conclusion to wrap up the entire essay. And don't forget also to make a creative title for your piece, okay? So make something creative there. Now for the revision stage, get some sort of feedback. That's the best thing to do. You can do it all yourself, but getting somebody's outside perspective is always very helpful, because then you have an idea of how a reader responds to your writing. Also, step away for a while and come back. So while your peer reviewer or your teacher or whoever is reading your piece, you can step away for a while. Because if you come back with a fresh eye, you'll see new things and you'll get new ideas, okay? At this stage, you also develop more details, you go deeper and deeper and deeper into those details, getting more and more specific. And it's time to consider your audience too. Are you developing the right things to consider their questions or their concerns about your topic, or what they need to be convinced by your main point, okay? Now for editing, that's the polishing portion. You can start to eliminate any wordiness that's happening in the paper. You can hone your sentence structure to be more direct. You can have parallel structure, just to make sure everything flows well and it reads very nicely. This is the time to correct the grammar, the spelling, the punctuation, and all that stuff. So get help with that if you're not good at that kind of stuff. And don't forget to use Grammarly to help you out with that. Also, make sure you fact check and double check citations at this point. Also check your formatting. What are the requirements? Are you using APA, MLA? And is your first page set up right? Have you done your citations right? Check all that stuff in the editing phase and make sure that everything is in order there. And then finally, the publishing, which for most assignments means simply turning it in. Double check the requirements for the assignment before you turn it in. Make sure you've covered all your bases, have the right length, it's focused on the right thing, all of the things. Okay, check that. And then proofread one more time before turning it in. Okay, maybe you did your final edit night before, and right before you turn it in the morning, maybe you can give it one more proofread. And then make sure you also turn it in on time, okay? Some instructors won't accept it late, so you've got to make sure you get things in on time. And even if they do give you a couple of days leeway or something like that, and you should ask if you want to turn it in late, even if that's so, try to always turn it in on time if you possibly can. Don't take advantage of that, because you don't want to create a snowball effect with your other work as well. And also make sure you follow the submission instructions. If it says to turn it in on Canvas, don't turn it in by email, okay? Make sure you do what you're supposed to do for that particular assignment. Okay, so if you need help with that, you want to get more ideas for your writing process, the College Rough Writers Guide sections 3 to 8 have more information about that, with some good tips on doing your best to create the best final draft you can. And of course, tutors can help you at any point in the writing process as well and give you some tips for doing it better. And you, of course, can talk to your instructor or stop by their office hours. Okay, so thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next episode of Writing Skills.